7:46, good morning. Let's see what's in the papers for you this morning with Deputy Editor of Spiked, Fraser Myers, and the author and journalist Susan Holder. Good morning to you both. Fraser.
Good morning.
Let's have a look at this UN agency that's at the centre of a whole load of issues.
Yeah, so this is the UNRWA. I don't know quite how you're supposed to pronounce it. United Nations Works and Relief Agency. It's an agency that's dedicated entirely to Palestine, and it's been discovered, or it's been alleged, that 12 of its employees not only linked to Hamas, but actually took part in the October the 7th massacre, which is extraordinary. This has come out as a result of lots of people have been arrested by Israel, and they've been interrogating them, and now they've been linked quite explicitly to this. One of the hostages who was released said that she was housed in a UN worker's house, like the person keeping her captive was working for the United Nations.
Oh, my goodness.
The links between this agency and Hamas go back a long way. Even in 2014, people were accused of fighting on the side of Hamas while being on the UN payroll. They run a lot of schools in Palestine, and some of their schools are said to include give students anti-Semitic textbooks and things like that, telling kids that they should, are going to defeat the usurpers one day, as they refer to the Israelis.
So now that this has been sort of exposed, the countries that give money to this relief agency, which obviously includes us too, have sort of halted the funding.
Yeah, so the UK and others like Australia and Finland are, and the US are, we're suspending our payments to it because obviously we don't want to be funding terrorism. But the head of the agency is kicked up a real fuss. He seems absolutely he's gobsmacked that people would even react to this. It's strange. This has kind of been, there's been rumours about this rumbling around for a long time, and they've always fiercely denied it. And now that it's come out, they haven't really apologised for it either.
But I guess the problem with things like this, I'm not trying to lessen any of it, so please don't start emailing in. But an organisation like that within Palestinian territories would inevitably have to have some connection with Hamas, because they were the ruling authority there, so they would have to be working with them to some degree.
Oh no, I think that would be reasonable. Yeah, Hamas absolutely are the ruling authority there. There's no question about it. But I think it's the level of involvement that is shocking. The level of getting involved in activities that are explicitly terroristic. It's not. We're not talking about negotiating with Hamas. We're not talking about having to work with them in order to get aid into the country. Obviously, that's completely understandable. Israel has to negotiate with Hamas.
Yeah.
That's just reality of life there.
It's finding that. Did you say 8?
12 people have been sacked.
On the UN payroll?
On the UN payroll.
Were actually taking part on October 7th.
Actually, killing and possibly raping Israeli
terrible.
civilians.
Yeah. Good God.
On the other hand, if we withdraw all the funding, the relief stops.
Yeah, and those people desperately in Gaza desperately need relief. So it's absolutely appalling.
But it's the ultimate argument, which Israel has used a lot, actually, is that it's relief money, relief aid, which is going directly to Hamas, and it's building tunnels and all the rest of it.
Yeah, and we're not the only ones doing it, so it's not like we're out on a limb on this.
No.
Like Fraser said, it's Finland, the US, Italy, Australia and Canada have all pulled their funding. For now, I mean, maybe there's an investigation, maybe that can be kind of, something can be sorted out further down the line. But what else can you do? You can't ignore it. So that decision has to be taken.
Can we talk John Lewis, Susan?
We can talk John Lewis. So according to the Mail on Sunday today, John Lewis could cut as many as 11,000 jobs in a plan to kind of revive their struggling fortunes. So they made a £234 million loss in 2022.
That's quite a loss.
It is quite a lot. It does say the partnership has reportedly raised £260 million to help fund the turnaround by selling 11 Waitrose stores, because, of course, John Lewis is linked to the Waitrose supermarket. That's all under the same umbrella, and lease them back. So that's one way they're kind of working. But I have to say, they also faced a backlash last week after they accidentally told staff that they were slashing redundancy pay in half. They later apologised and withdrew those emails. So it's all a bit. If you work at John Lewis, it must be a very scary time. But I have to say, there is a John Lewis in Cheshire I go to sometimes. And then last time I went in before Christmas. I went in specifically to buy something, a Christmas present, from the kind of electrical department. It was like a gaming thing for my son. Felt like he was 12 again. Yeah. He's 29, but anyway, that's what he wanted for Christmas. So it was quite fun. So I went in, I want this thing. And they went, oh, no, we don't have any of those in stock. I was like, oh, but I looked on the web. Oh, no, you can get it online.
Yes, that's weird, isn't it?
We've got thousands of them. I was like, well, you'll keep thousands of them, won't you? Because I wanted to come in and buy it.
One.
Call me old-fashioned, but I just thought that's what shops were for.
Yeah.
But this
Have we fallen out of love with department stores?
Yeah, well, it seems we have, and I don't know why, but they do seem to be kind of, all sorts of department stores tend to kind of close up. People just don't seem to... It's online, isn't it? It's just so much easier. And when you do make the effort to go to a shop and then you go home empty-handed and just have to hit the kind of keyboard, I try really hard not to do that as much as I do.
But it's also the bottom line is, and you have to say, I mean, John Lewis, what's their slogan? Never beaten on... never knowingly undersold.
Is that them? OK, right.
But it's, you know, it's very often, if you go to John Lewis or you go to Waitrose, you can go somewhere else and buy the same thing cheap.
Well, yeah, but that's shopping around. If you've got the energy and the...
But John Lewis used to be very well known for looking after you.
Yes.
Customer service.
Yes.
You could go in and ask advice and a bit of help with ideas and things.
Yeah.
And they would take a lot of time and trouble.
And unlike some of the department stores that kind of over time did get all a bit kind of faded and jaded and you kind of did feel like you were stepping back in time and not in a good way, John Lewis, when you go in, it's all usually nicely done, it's nicely laid out, they keep it very lovely. There generally is staff around, so it would be a shame. But the only way to save these places is to use them. Yeah. But if they're not going to have what you want on stock, they don't keep things on the shop floor or in their kind of whatever they do behind the scenes, then I don't know what they expect us to do, really.
It also has a reputation as being a good employer. You know, their employees have very good rights and they're called partners. They have some say in the direction of the company. So, you know, it's very sad to hear that they're potentially, 11,000 staff cuts. You know, I'm sure those jobs will be made up, but we'd rather have people in John Lewis jobs than in Amazon jobs, quite frankly.
Right, we've literally got 40 seconds. What did the Tories accuse you of doing, Fraser, in the Sunday Mirror?
They're accused of rigging the next election, which I think is a bit alarmist, but basically there are a whole raft of new changes to who's eligible to vote that people think will benefit the Conservatives. So there's no longer a limit to if you're an expat, you can vote in the next election. Previously, if you'd lived out in the UK for 15 years, you lose your right to vote, which seems reasonable. Yeah. So people who don't live here will be have no connection to the country will be allowed to vote. Photo ID is another thing that is said to benefit the Tories. But Jacob Rees-Mogg admitted that backfired in the recent local elections because I think a lot of elderly people didn't realise that the rules had changed. So, you know, if you play around with the system, I don't think it ever works out the way politicians expect. No. The Tories are almost certain to lose the next election, regardless of what, tinkering they do.
I don't think this is going to make that much
difference. No.
When you come back next time, can we talk about how dogs watch television?
We can. We can talk about that.
Apparently they do. We think we're watching the television programme.
Get your dog ready for that, because we can talk to the dog directly then, can't we?
That's true.
Point well made. All right.
The trouble is they won't be able to email in.
You never know. Fraser, Susan, thank you. Let's have a look at the weather.